Welcome back, artists. Now that we have colored our fish with the cool colors using markers, we are going to color the background using crayons and some texture plates. You will have multiple options that you can choose from. You might want to find a texture plate that sort of makes sense. Like this one looks a little bubbly or whatever. It reminds me of rocks or sand. So I was thinking this is something I would use to color the ground in my picture. Well, how this works is you're gonna pick the color. You can color using whatever colors you would like for your ground. I'm gonna do sort of a brown for my sand. You're going to be asked to use at least 3 different textures while you are coloring. The only thing you do differently when you color with a texture is you put the texture underneath and then you just color as normal. If you notice, I'm just going back and forth with my crayon like we usually do when we color. I'm staying in my lines, but because I'm on a bumpy surface, my coloring is changing. I have some areas that are a little bit darker. I have some areas that are a little bit lighter based on the texture that's underneath. So I don't have to do anything different, but I do wanna sort of pay attention to my edges and fill the entire shape. So I'm going carefully around my starfish. I want my starfish to stand out, so it should be a different color than the ground. And I'm gonna work my way all the way across. Because my picture is longer than the texture plate, I am gonna have to stop and move my texture plate once I get to near the edge. So again, I'm just coloring back and forth right on top of that texture plate to get this sort of rubbed effect. Now here's where my texture plate ends. So I'm going to stop my coloring. I'm gonna move my paper. So now you can see that my paper fits inside this texture plate, right? It goes all the way to the edge and it goes to here, a part that I've already colored. So now I can continue coloring with this color and the texture plate. Now that I've finished my sand and it all looks textured, I can change my texture plate. So I've picked another one here that I want to use for this coral that I'm drawing. So again, I put the paper or the texture plate underneath where I'm coloring. I pick my color. I think I'm gonna make this sort of a red-violet color. And then I just continue coloring. It is important that you use your helper hand to make sure your paper isn't moving on you. If you move your paper around a lot, the texture might not come out as well as you would like it to be. Here I'm going to do this color for the back parts, or the parts behind this first section, and then I can change colors and do a different one for this part right here. But again, as I'm coloring, you can see how that texture sort of makes the coloring look a little bit different, and it gives it a nice quality to make it appear like this is something I could touch and it would not be smooth anymore. Again, you are expected to use at least 3 different textures. I have 1, 2, I need at least 1 more. This striped one on the seaweed. I'm gonna have my stripes go horizontal because my seaweed goes vertical. So again, putting it underneath, I'm checking the texture plate ends up here, so it's above my seaweed, so this whole thing fits, and I can go ahead and just color using 3-star coloring. Helper hand is busy, going over the top, staying careful because I want to stay in my lines. And maybe I'll do a couple different greens here for the seaweed as well. So I'll do this dark green on the outsides, and then the one on the middle I can do a different color. But I'm gonna use the same texture. It is expected that your entire picture is colored when you are finished. I have my 3, 1, 2, 3. So at this point, I can decide to just color with normal crayons on the flat table, or I could choose to use another texture.